Hello, my name is Andrew Couse. I am a Shiatsu practitioner and trainer based in the International Academy for Hara Shiatsu in Vienna, Austria.
And I'm Nick Pohl, and welcome to another in our series on how you can use clean language in mind-body therapies. Andrew, you've done a couple of courses with me, and what fascinated me when we talked about doing this interview is you said you don't actually use the clean language questions that much. It's actually the philosophy behind it that you found has made a difference. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, at the moment, I'm working quite intensively with dementia patients in fairly advanced stages of dementia in a care residence in Vienna. And for most of these patients, they are bedridden and largely incapable of any kind of meaningful communication. So the questions as such don't really come into question in my work. But what I find particularly useful is, I guess, the background to clean language, which is something that I've come to call clean attitude.
Clean attitude, clean approach, clean philosophy. Yes. What would that attitude be?
Well, clean attitude is for me the background to the way that clean questions are formulated. That is, divesting them of subjective content, of suppositions, of presuppositions, of prejudices about what I know about the condition of the person across from me. And so I've translated this into my work that during a session with a dementia patient, I avoid working as though I know exactly what's going to happen and I know what the patient is feeling. I don't know this and I can't know this. And the only way to work effectively, particularly in a context where the patient can't tell me how they're feeling, is to respond very openly to the signals that I'm getting from them, to the reactions that I'm perceiving. These can be very subtle changes of bodily attitude, relaxation, changes of breathing, changes of facial expression. And for me, the only way to be open to these changes is to be absolutely clean in my attitude. That is, I am not presupposing anything.
And Andrew, you made the point earlier about how dementia is a very individual for each person who has it, and we can often come in expecting it to be the same. How does that sort of clean attitude help you in relation to that?
As you say, there is no single presentation of dementia. It's not something like a common cold that always produces the same symptoms. And the way that dementia is presented in clients is often extremely individual. And so I can't go into a session expecting a certain amount, a certain kind of symptoms and a certain response to my treatment. I have to be very open to the individuality of the situation. And to be honest, I'm only human, and sometimes I will already formulate strategies of treatment, which subos I'm going to take or which meridians might be appropriate for this particular client. And if I do that and I go in, it's generally always a disaster, because one thing that these clients can express is dislike of the situation.
And is there a particular example of when you found this really helped with a particular patient?
Well, I'm thinking of one particular case of a lady who was not in a state of dementia, but was bedridden and needed round-the-clock care. And I had worked with her on a couple of occasions already. And before I went in to do another treatment with her, the caregiver or the nurse informed me that this lady would actually be capable of mobility if she wanted to, but she had more or less given up on moving around, given up on her body, and spent all of her time watching television. And the nurse asked me if I would sort of support her in the possibility of getting up and moving around. And I went in and I more or less ignored this advice because I felt that in the moment where I try to impose an expectation, that is in the sense of an unclean attitude, this patient would be forced to resist. It's common sense. Yeah. And so I focused basically on keeping a space open during the work for this woman to rediscover the possibilities that her body had for her. And in the next week, when I went to find her in her room, she was gone. And I was presented with an empty bed. And I thought, maybe she's been taken away for tests. And I went to the nurse, and she said, oh, it's a miracle. She's gotten up and she's gone down to the caffeine, as she spent most of the day already speaking with other patients. And so for me, this was really a reinforcement of the power of this attitude, leaving the space open so that the real needs of the client can develop and grow without imposing my own expectations on the situation.
Even relatives of a dementia patient can get extremely impatient and get that sense that the person just isn't there anymore. And so I guess when you come in with this clean attitude, somehow you are creating a space where that person can still be seen.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great difficulties for family members, for loved ones in dealing with dementia, because you have the feeling that the personality that you know is no longer there. The thing is, though, there is a personality there. It may not be the one you grew up with, it may not be the one you married, but it has evolved into a different state. And again, going into a situation like this without preconceptions about how this person is supposed to be is the only way to discover what this person has become and the glories, in many cases, of what they are.
And Andrew, you've been a meditator for a long time, and I just wondered if you see any parallels between that meditative attitude and the clean attitude.
Yeah, I think the parallels are quite evident. The early stages of meditation involve being aware, being perceptive, being open, letting go of thoughts, letting go of feelings, dropping all of the sort of paraphernalia of our mind that keep us trapped in this little space. And that the moment that we let that go, we create a space where our true mind evolves and where we have possibility in all directions. And I think that the clean attitude in working with Shiatsu also creates a space for the clients where possibility that was not there before, physical, emotional, opens up for them, for them to evolve into it if they choose.
Thank you very much, Andrew. How can people get in touch with you if they're interested in finding out more about your work?
I can be reached over the International Academy for Hara Shiatsu in Vienna, Austria, either on their website or for telephone, email. All of my contact details are available there.
And thanks again. And if you've been watching, thank you for your interest. And if you have any comments, then do get in touch through the website address, which is coming right up. See you later. Bye. Thanks.